height of it.
The height?
Yeah, there's like a bunch of space above our heads. Yeah. Hello, I'm Benzie.
And I'm Devin.
And this is the Holler Horror Hour.
Yes.
We
decided to do a double feature again.
A double feature.
Yeah, seems we're not allowed to. It's rare when we're allowed to do one just by its fucking self these days.
Well, sorry.
I don't know.
No, I'm not.
Wouldn't be a problem if you'd remember what happened and like.
Well, that's why this time we watched the movies only 2 days apart.
Yeah. Anyway, this time for this double feature, I don't know exactly what drove it, but with like the latest The Mummy coming out.
Well, what happened was I thought the Brendan Fraser new Mummy movie was coming out and in theaters.
Right.
But I was mistaken that it was the Lee Cronin, so we didn't want to watch the old Brendan Fraser Mummy movies. We wanted to watch the Tom Cruise The Mummy.
Well, so yeah, we heard that there was another Brendan Fraser Mummy movie coming out. Got excited. Looked at the current The Mummy out this year by Lee Cronin. Realized, oh, that's not Brendan Fraser. That's kind of its own standalone thing. And decided, like, it'd be a good idea to compare it to the only other non-Brendan Fraser Mummy movie that we kind of know of in recent history.
And I had never seen the Tom Cruise one before.
I hadn't either, because it looked bad, and I hadn't heard anything to make me feel inclined to go see it when it came out.
A reminder: our podcast is high spoilers. It is high spoilers. We're going to talk about the movies.
There will be spoilers.
Everything that happens, we'll talk about.
You've been warned from this point on.
So from that. We thought Tom Cruise Mummy would be bad, and I honestly, my life would be better if I hadn't watched it.
Yeah, it really commits the worst, probably the worst sin that a movie can, in that like it's just
worse than Skinamarink.
Well, like Skinamarink commits the same sin.
Oh.
But like it kind of commits the same sin, the worst sin that a movie can, which is that it's kind of just there's not much to speak of to it, you know? Like Tom Cruise's The Mummy really there isn't much more I could say for it than it's just Tom Cruise fights a mummy.
Well, it was sexy.
I mean, The Mummy was.
Yeah.
And they show a woman's belly button.
Yeah.
Like, I read Tom. Yeah, it wasn't good. There wasn't a lot to it. There were a lot of things that like weren't bad about it. It's not so bad that it becomes funny, you know, at any point. It's just kind of like.
Well, partially because it's trying to be funny.
It was just kind of like it was just kind of painful to watch.
Well, and it feels like a tragedy because of the MonsterVerse setup that they were doing. I would have loved to see Jekyll and Hyde, Russell Crowe in a 6-movie series.
Yeah, I think it could have been cool to see like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen cap off the whole thing. Like I could I know on paper for most people it sounds absolutely absurd, but I think if you like get around movies enough, like, you know, it's not actually all that unusual a move. There have been like monster mashes from all of these same monsters like previously.
Penny Dreadful was amazing.
Like Van Helsing, and I know a lot of people hate like that the hell was it called? A lot of people hate the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine, but well, it also had Frankenstein and Dracula in the same movie. Abbott and Costello. There was the Wolfman, Dracula. There was even a movie called The Wolfman Meets Frankenstein, uh, way back in the day, in early Universal. So like it's not all that unusual a move.
Yeah, and I did think the setup, it kind of felt like a tragedy because the setup felt like something that could have been cool.
Yeah, I do think it's reasonable to say that I do think it's reasonable to criticize the movie for setting up the monsterverse or the dark universe uh a little too early, too much too early. Like they maybe should have just work on the Mummy and then work on Dracula and then work on like Frankenstein. Yeah, and then start kind of weaving them into each other, because like that DC kind of did the same problem where everybody's like looking at the Marvel universe that Marvel set up, but Marvel did a lot of work over like 10 years to, you know, put that universe together. And
yeah, like in the first Iron Man movie, they didn't.
Yeah, like,
or at least I don't remember that.
Well, like the first Iron Man movie, to the extent they teased anything at the Avengers, it was like a cameo at the end of the film, just to tease like, oh, Nick Fury's talking to Tony Stark now, and that was it. Like 99.99% of the movie was Iron Man. Iron Man as a standalone hero. But honestly, like that aside, that's no matter which way I stare at this movie, like the big problem with it that I see is like Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is Tom Cruising. He's not a character. I can't remember what his character's name was. He was Tom Cruise every second of that movie.
Yeah, it's the movies. I look at the movie in like two ways. One, specifically for Tom Cruise, is like, kind of an example of where like your drive to be great can be, it can be a boon at times, right?
Or it can be a bust.
And it can be a bust when you're so hell-bent on making yourself great, or as he's apparently famously said, make your role great, that you kind of just wipe out every other role in the movie.
Well, didn't you say he took a lot of creative control over the film?
Yeah, I was actually curious because the movie does kind of look like one that went through like a lot of rewrites before it made its way to screen. And apparently Tom Cruise had a very high degree of creative control and made a lot of last minute changes like on set to the film, which, I don't know exactly what all he changed. There are like, most of what I've read, I couldn't say for sure is more than like just rumors here or there. But like when you see the film, it looks very Tom Cruise centric. It looks like the whole thing revolves around Tom Cruise. Like even the Mummy, there was one point where just watching the movie, I kind of felt like I don't know, just a little bit strange watching it, and like, there strangely doesn't seem to be that much to the Mummy character right now. Like there doesn't seem to be like anything from her. Like what exactly is she trying to do? Like what is she like by this point? And part of the problem is like it was, they made it way too easy to compare it to like the 1999 movie with Brendan Fraser,
which was amazing.
It was amazing, but like by that point in the movie, by the third quarter of the movie, you very much feel the Mummy's presence, right? And by the third quarter of, Tom Cruise's movie, it not so much. Like there were things going on there. You knew the mummy was a threat, but like at the same time, it also didn't help that they had it in chains at one point and wrapped up, and you're like, why? So where's the threat here now? Why is this?
Well, it also very much didn't help how much wildly unnecessary CGI was in the movie. It was very pulled me out.
Yeah, there was this was
especially stuff that it was just like it really felt like it would be easier to do with practical effects
and would look better. You know,
Yeah.
like Tom Cruise's friend, like Tom Cruise's dead friend that's hanging around haunting him. It's like, and it's like, it was like, oh, that is CGI. That is absolutely CGI. And I'm like, why? He's just pale. They really use CGI to just make him look pale. Like,
it was wild.
the fuck?
Well,
Like,
they used it a lot on the Mummy too.
yeah, and also
actually, when she had the CGI face, especially when she was chained up, she had like really intense CGI face, which really made no sense.
Yeah,
but it made her uglier.
Yeah,
like she was so hot, like ridiculously.
And I get like doing it for the eyes, but that's where like they probably should have taken a page. And like the Deadpool Wolverine movie wasn't done at this time. The Deadpool movie might have been out by this point, but they probably should have taken a page out of like the Deadpool handbook and figured out like, oh yeah, you just use the CGI to kind of mess with some of the features, but not like cover the whole face in CGI.
Also, I feel like they did no research for this movie. Like their research on how the military works, or their lack, like, the military stuff fell off. All the Egyptian mythology was way off. It was just like
yeah. Talk about what you noticed with like the Egyptian mythology, because that totally slipped by me.
Yeah, well, Set is not the god of death. He's a god of like chaos, desert storms, things like that. And Anubis is the god of death. So the whole movie being so focused on Set, specifically called the god of death, over and over and over and over again in the movie. When I actually feel like the movie could have 100% worked saying Set, the god of chaos. You know, like
right.
It actually wouldn't have changed the movie at all, except for it would be mildly more accurate. Also, just like the way the woman, the paleontologist or whatever her position was, she was like reading ancient Egyptian as if it's like straight like letters to sounds.
Well, specifically the hieroglyphics.
Yeah, and also when she talks to the mummy, like she can understand and speak in perfect pronunciation, like languages we have no clue what they sound like. Yeah, it was just dumb and weird.
Yeah. And like a lot of the things that were there all just seemed like kind of just vehicles to like amp up the importance of Tom Cruise. And actually her character too was another one where like she felt like a pretty useless character for the most part. She felt like, you know,
yeah, she was for Tom Cruise to prove he had gone from being an evil bad guy to a good man.
I mean, the exact comparison I made is to like where like so-called woke movies will often get criticized, where you've got, you know, a female Mary Sue lead, and then you know, the male side, her male side character, love interest or whatever, like really just seems to be there to call her name, you know, and just follow her around. Like, I felt like
literally every character was just like calling Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like it'd be kind of dumb to call it like the male version, because it's just like, you know, what has been like a typical dumb action hero movie in some ways, except that like you know, even like Arnold Schwarzenegger's female, female co-stars usually contribute something more than what she did. Like she would literally like recite something of some bit of exposition so that Tom Cruise could know it, and then it would get stated again and again and again by some other character in some other way, and then he's got his ghost friend like talking at him, and it's like it's definitely it just made me like really think that like, yeah, this is a good example of why it's not good to like just have a Mary Sue, or a Tom Cruise, hero, and just make everyone around him, including the main antagonist, like kind of just feel kind of weak.
Well, and it was so weird. They were like pushing this narrative of like he was a bad guy and now he's reformed. But like him being a bad guy, he like slept with a woman and didn't call her back. And he was a general like treasure hunter.
Yeah.
Like, that's what made him evil. Which I also, at the end of the film, he did have true love. He sacrificed for love or whatever for this woman that he's known for a week.
Right.
And didn't actually have any romantic scenes with. But then at the end of the movie, it's not established that he's like not a treasure hunter anymore. Like he brings his buddy back. Oh, that was the thing with his friend was like literally stabbing people with a knife. He had been taken over by the mummy.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise shot him to kill him, and then they're like, and he killed his best friend. It was like,
what?
He wasn't being like a bad guy in that like it was,
that was very yeah, it was very that also frustrated me, and it frustrated me too, like because they brought it up in like a bit later, like you shot me, like you were stabbing people, and they brought it up like a dumb funny gag that just it's like
all the humor was really bad.
Yeah, to the extent that they wanted, it was really hard to like take any of like Tom Cruise as a villain seriously when they constantly had this like some kind of meta humor going that like it's like a bit that you only do when you like when you're like winking and nodding at the audience. It's like yeah, that was a pretty bad guy thing to do. Like nobody really seriously like says things like that as they're walking around doing things. That's something that like it only shows up in a movie. And like the movie was filled with bits like that.
The worst moment for me was when he was fighting the mummy at the end, which he's been able to be mentally overpowered by her the entire movie, and there's no reason it should have changed that the audience has seen.
Right.
And suddenly he's able to break it, and he like makes a joke and headbutts her.
Yeah.
And it was just like, what? And also in that fight, the mummy's power shifts so fast. Like, is she ultra powerful or can she be hit with a stick? Like, it's so fucking weird.
Yeah, like earlier in the movie, he hit her with a stick. The stick broke and did nothing.
One cool thing though is I really liked the double eyeball effect.
Yeah,
they did, and I loved her body tattoos.
I thought that was a good costume design. I thought like the mummy itself, she looked pretty good. Like overall, the way they designed it and all.
The costume and set design, I liked the Dark Universe building.
Yeah,
and all the creatures and stuff. Yeah.
I think like. Yeah, there's too much that's wrong with the movie to say like this is what fucked it up. Like most of the arrows point to Tom Cruise and the changes he made to make it like a Tom Cruise centered film where he pussyfooted around like being an actual like villainous type of character in any capacity. And like even there, it's like the whole movie is spent trying to avoid getting sacrificed for this curse, and then in the end of the movie
He sacrifices himself.
Yeah, he just goes along and completes the ritual and sacrifices himself and just gets mummy powers.
Yeah.
It's like we've spent the whole movie trying to avoid this. For whatever reason, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen decided the best way to neutralize this is to go ahead and complete the curse. Just not let her be the one that does the stabby stab. And then, like,
which is
you know,
still not
no,
even
no,
clear
you can't.
what would have happened if she had done
Yeah, yeah. Like, what difference would it have made if she drove the knife in him or if he put the knife in himself? Like, it's all of this fucking around to do what the mummy wanted anyway.
it. Yeah. So, now that we've wasted 20 minutes of all of our lives,
well, we've sent out a warning to anybody else who might have
Yes.
thought, like, oh, Tom Cruise is in that. Like, nothing against Tom Cruise movies, but this is not one to put on your list.
Lee Cronin's The Mummy
Lee Cronin's
was
The Mummy.
quite different
In a lot of ways.
in at least a few.
For starters, it was different in quality. It was better. It was a lot better. It's not even close.
It was the scariest movie I've seen in a long time. I was in the theater. I was grabbing Devin. I was like, I kicked. I screamed. I watched a lot of the movie like this.
I won't throw you under the bus.
What?
When the bit where she's, I want to know what your piggies taste like. You were literally like kicking and like struggling in your chair to try and like avert your eyes. It was like, Jesus.
It was, that movie had a lot of body horror specifically.
Yeah,
It was very intense body horror.
I would say, so off the bat.
Should we complain first or say good stuff?
Yeah, maybe it's best to give the complaints first. It wasn't much of a mummy movie. I would say it was much more of a like possession or exorcism type movie.
I guess that was something I liked about it, is I didn't know it was coming next because of that. Like, it subverted the genre in a way.
Yeah, I guess it subverted the genre, but
you think too much.
Well, it subverted the genre, but like I guess at the end of the day, if you're expecting a mummy movie out of this, if you really, really want a mummy movie out of this, I'll clarify it. I'll say it that way. If you really, really want a mummy movie out of this, you will probably be disappointed because it, like, everything about it fits much more closely with like a demon possession type of movie. Like that's ultimately what you're getting, even to the extent that, like, there is, it's not even really like mummification that happens at any point in the movie either. Like, to the extent it's mummification, it's like, there are like Egyptian mummy wrappings. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not a problem per se, but like, and honestly, like, even mentioning that, like, I kind of go back and forth on, like, is that a negative, or is it a negative or not? And like, it's not really a negative necessarily, but definitely wasn't what I was expecting.
I would have enjoyed if, like, still the possession plotline didn't have to change at all, but if they had amped up the Egyptian mythology by like 10%, I think I would have enjoyed that.
Yeah, like, I think that's a thing. Like, there's a point where they bring in an Egyptologist or an archaeologist or something, and like, run some like ancient scripture by him, and that's about the extent of like getting into like Egyptian mythology to any degree goes.
Which something I was talking to Devin about in the car is they introduce that character. He's there for one scene, gives one little bit of information, and then never mentioned again.
2 scenes.
The professor was in 2 scenes?
Yeah.
I only remember him in 1, but I believe Devin. And oh yeah, the phone call.
It wasn't a phone call.
I felt like they brought this character in, and I think he should have been more involved at that point. Like, if they weren't going to use him, they wasted character introduction on him. Like, the dad could have found that information another way.
Yeah, I guess, like, I was okay with it. I didn't mind it. It wasn't the most... I didn't mind it that much, but I also felt the same way that, like that whole bit could have been handled maybe a little bit more efficiently. I felt like there were a couple... I think a big criticism I do have with the film on the whole is that there were a couple scenes that I felt like they really wanted to have in there. Like, they were on the early drawing, or the early, drawing board of, like, how are we going to do this, that probably should have been cut out in the end, because they didn't add anything, and they just seemed a little, like, silly and inefficient.
What other scenes?
Well, we talked about, like, there's this scene where they have their daughter, she's comatose, and they're trying to get her upstairs.
Oh my god, that scene was horrible.
And they keep her in the to do this, they keep her in the wheelchair, and they just kind of bump.
And the mom's a nurse. Like, there's just no way. There's no way.
And, like, they really amp up, like, the awkwardness. They kind of use it to amp up the tension. They make every, like, thud as they're trying to gently, like, get their comatose daughter up the stairs, and just whacking into every step and making you feel it. But, like, it didn't make me feel tense. It made me feel like, you guys are dumb. Why are you carrying her up? Why is this how you're moving her up the stairs? This is the dumbest way. It didn't make me feel, like, scared of what's going to happen, or, like, are they going to drop her, or something going to happen. It made me want to jump in the movie, grab the whole fucking wheelchair, and carry the damn thing up the stairs for them. It's like, look, God damn it, this is how you do this. For fuck's sake. Jesus Christ, what's the matter with you people? It made me that kind of tense. It made me it made me the kind of tense where, like, you're fucking 3-year-old struggling to, like, find the right drawer, and you just want to, like, this one. God.
For some reason, that what's coming up for me is remembering. So I have no clue what the actor's name is, but it's Christian from Midsommar. Is the main protagonist?
Yeah, I guess so. One of them. Should we look up his actual name?
Yeah, let him have a name.
Can I?
You don't have your phone?
Not on me.
And I thought watching Midsommar, I always thought his, like, big eyes were something they did in, like, the effects. But his eyes...
Jack Renner.
Jack Renner.
That's a solid name.
His eyes being so big was in this movie, too. It also made me wonder... because now it's 2 horror films that he's been a part of. Yeah. I know nothing about this man, but I'm like, oh, maybe he's cool. Maybe he's a horror fan.
Well, at least 2 horror films.
That's all I know of him.
All right. Could be more, though. And
then when they had him in the wheelchair at the end, I was like, this man loves to be just, like, zonked in a wheelchair in a movie. That's, like...
I think...
And a sacrifice.
I think a last criticism I could muster up for this. Not all of this was bad, but, like, some of the some of the reactions kind of left me a little bit scratching my head as well. Like when when I don't remember the lady's name, but like
The wife?
when the mom died, when like the mom gets thrown out a window and lands on
the
their
grandma.
car. Well, she's
Somebody's
the
mom.
daughter's grandma. She'd technically be like whatever his
Just when
name.
you say the
canon.
mom, it could be two characters.
Yeah, I guess so. The grandma. The eldest mom. When the grandma got thrown out of the window, I like when they were both just like staring at it like open mouthed in the car. I did feel like he might have had more of a response of like especially since it seemed like she was still moving, like, oh shit, I'll help you, grandma, I'll help you, mom, or
Nobody's
something.
taking anybody to the hospital in this movie, apparently.
Yeah, like no, like just strange places where there were a lack of like hero or savior instincts. Ultimately, like again, that was kind of a minor nitpicky bullshit.
I did think that
complaint.
moment was a cool callback to the bird at the beginning, though.
Oh yeah, the canary.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah, and also like thinking about it in the sense of like, if you think of like the canary in the coal mine,
Yeah,
like that's the canary that let them know the thing was awake, and then grandma dying was the like canary of there's something mystically wrong here.
Oh, I absolutely figured that that canary was like a literal canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this was also kind of implied, but it seemed like the spirit, and as like a criticism, I almost wish they had maybe done a little bit more with this, because like they say that like, oh, the spirit is one that like turns people against each other. So I kind of wish they had maybe done a little more with that, or done it a bit more subtly, like not have the littlest daughter like all of a sudden just smile evilly and go around being evil, and then the son just all of a sudden turn evil like that. Because like there were enough inklings there where they were kind of like turning on each other. I think I wish they'd have done more with it to like also kind of imply that like some of the tensions between the dad and the mom may not have entirely just been them by themselves. Like the daughter kind of seemed to be she seemed to have a bit of an attitude to her, so I was like, oh, maybe she was kind of like that because she was being influenced and groomed early on for getting kidnapped or something. And maybe that mom, the witch mom, Egyptian witch mom, was partially the way she was because like, oh, there's this fucking evil mummy influence around us.
I do wonder how much the consciousness of the original person is in the mummy, because this isn't something I thought about before, but I am now. When she did the Morse code to her dad through her like teeth chattering,
right?
There's no reason the mummy would want him to know that, the evil spirit.
Allow me to retort.
Retort, please.
Because like I did think about that too. Like, oh, maybe something of her was still there. But when I thought about it a little bit more, I kind of realized that like the evil spirit doesn't have any loyalty to like that woman. And if anything, like it might set up that woman to like try and like as like a like sick the police on her and get rid of her. And I mean, even to the extent that it worked out a little bit worse for the evil spirit. I can't really call it the Mummy. See, that's the problem.
It had a name.
I don't remember. It started with an N though.
Yeah.
Nosferatu or something.
The N word.
Yeah. The N spirit. Like, even though it didn't fully work out for the in spirit, because like some of the secrets for how to like get rid of the spirit were passed on. Like the old witch that had been keeping it imprisoned, she ultimately got shot. She could have been killed, and like the police very nearly killed the daughter too. And like it very like there was enough there where it could have gone such a way where like you just wiped out the only people who knew how to like deal with this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you think it was trying to get them to get gotten rid of, and my perception was that it would have been better for them to not know those people, so it was the daughter coming through a little bit.
Perhaps.
My other piece of evidence for my thought is her doing the Morse code on her dad afterwards. I imagine came from her knowing what you can experience inside the curse.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, like that is so. Maybe I will respectfully concede that that's a strong possibility, and then turn my attention to like another thing that I would actually like to pay attention to on a rewatch of that movie, which is like at what point she really started to like fucking she really started to like amp her shenanigans up. Like if it was like when that the piece of wrapping and the toenail came off. Like there was a breach in the sacred texts, keeping her kind of imprisoned.
I think that's for sure what happened. Like she was a little less bound.
I think that's possible, but I don't remember exactly how it all went down, which things happened, which ways.
You might disagree with me on this, but I had some feeling that if they're going to be like, the mystical exist, right?
Right.
I would have liked the grandma's relationship with
God to have actually been something.
To do something.
Yeah. That's actually kind of another place where this movie follows much more a mold of like a demon possession movie. The mummification of Katie Cannon, as I've referred to it. But yeah, like in all in all like the exorcism movies and all the demon possession movies, like God's kind of a useless support character in all of this, to be quite honest. Like, and like obviously I'm an atheist, so like I'm not worried about a lightning strike hitting me over that. But like the obvious reason for that is like, oh well, if we actually bring the Almighty into this, like there's not much of a plot then, is there? All you have to do is pray and he comes and smites the demon for you.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be at that level, but like
yeah, but maybe just something, the cross could have burned her or something. Like, wrong religion or something like that.
Yeah.
Hit her with a statue of Anubis and that does it. Maybe that'd be more fitting.
What else? Oh my god. Like, just again on the body horror, the close-ups of when she was doing the Morse code, which was a positive scene, kind of, you know, but it was like the close up on her teeth, like bleeding as they're like crushing together to do the Morse code. There was the clipping the toenails even before it ripped off her skin. It was just like,
yeah,
oh my god.
There was so much about the movie that was like just it was very creepy, and there were a lot of things about it that were very well executed as far as like, oh no, don't do that.
That was a fucking horror movie.
I
just like any complaints about it, it was a solid ass real horror movie.
I actually thought it was really interesting too. Like her skin was all misshapen, and everybody just assumed that it's because she was like stuck in a coffin, which isn't unreasonable. Like I didn't notice anything, or I wouldn't have noticed anything, but like I did think it was kind of an interesting twist that like, oh, that wasn't her skin. That was a wrapping. Yeah. Like I thought that was pretty neat. Again, though, like I did think it was weird that like the children just instantly like turned as soon as she wanted to turn them. Like grandma, it made sense that like, you know, after she's dead, she could rise from the grave.
Oh my god, when she was like licking up the embalming fluid
from
the grandma's body.
It was so gross.
I did think it was cute, that little scene they put in of the grandma's friends talking about her.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know, it was just like a little reprieve moment, and it was sweet and felt very real.
Yeah, it definitely felt. I thought that, and you know, going back to like the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, where like all the jokes you could tell were just like dumb meta jokes that made the movie feel. I mean, ultimately, like I don't know mechanically, but like the jokes in the Tom Cruise Mummy movie made it so I couldn't take the movie seriously in any way, shape, or form. Whereas, like, to the extent there were jokes in this Mummy movie, it actually made the movie just feel like filled out a little bit more. Yeah. It made me feel like I could take a breath a bit.
Well, really, it doesn't feel like there was a main character. Like every character in the family got their personality.
Yeah, funny enough, I actually thought I was gonna feel like annoyed by the grandma for the most part, but when she got attacked by little Katie, like I actually felt bad for her. I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Well, it is wild that just like everybody trying to love her so hard.
Yeah.
You know? And I was glad because, you know, like it made sense for the littlest sister to like talk to her and stuff like that. And I would have been really annoyed if the teenage son had like fallen for that immediately.
Yeah.
Like I liked that he went to his room and tried to put his headphones on. And even though he got cursed and in the end,
yeah,
I would have been super annoyed if he had like been like, oh, little sister, you know, like
Katie.
Yeah, I'm so glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, he was way too old to just fall for that trick.
The set design of the hallways inside the walls was super cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was neat. Yeah. I want wall hallways like that.
I know.
Yeah. What else?
Well, okay, I have a thing I think we're going to disagree on, and okay. I was waiting to talk to you till we were on camera.
Okay. Just hit me with some drama. Conflict bowling me. Surprise.
I did not like the revenge sequence at the end.
Revenge sequence.
Transferring the demon into the original witch or original lady.
Yeah, I don't think that's controversial, actually. So no conflict. No real conflict there. I wasn't quite sure how to feel about that scene. Partially because like me looking at it as an outsider, like I think that woman was a bit of a cunt, but I could see I could see
Her motivations.
yeah, like I don't like to be quite so crass about it, so like blunt, but like I see the utility in why she's doing the things that she's doing, and I didn't see her actions so much as like a you know an evil deed as like something a bit more complicated because yes, you're snatching a child and you're snatching and killing a child, but you are containing like a very overtly evil and powerful
Powerful.
entity, and you're trying to keep that thing under wraps. So I I didn't exactly think it was justice to do that. I didn't actually think it was like, you know, a justified revenge, which is maybe partially the point for a variety of reasons because like, you know, the from what we're given like a pure host works best. So given all of her actions over the years, like, you know, maybe not evil, but certainly very morally gray to the point where like she's probably not gonna last very long. You know?
And I wasn't sure if they were implying like, oh, they'll just go through this prison now and like host to host it.
Yeah.
Like, are they taking over the management of this evil spirit? Like,
Yeah, that was kind of my thought. Like, oh, so are they just gonna like what is their plan with this? Are they just gonna kind of like what transfer it to her now, put her back in the sarcophagus, put the wrappings on her, put her in the sarcophagus, and then what? Just drop it to the center of the earth or some shit? Like,
yeah, it seems like there's a clear necessity for it to move to a new person.
well, I think actually, no, that does remind me of like another thing that I did kind of roll my eyes at a bit, or like at least question plot wise. Because like part of the reason they find the sarcophagus and find Katie is that like, you know, they had to move the sarcophagus. But the way they chose to do it was like transporting it in a plane, and all we're given as
That's
to the
one
reason
thing that happened in both movies.
Yeah, they that was still executed much better in this one than in Tom Cruise's movie.
Yeah.
Just saying. But
I really liked that seeing the guy on the bicycle and he's like doing his thing and he doesn't even see it. And
yeah,
like, boom.
I did notice though that like the guy on the bicycle, I don't know that his tires were the right kind of tires for that terrain. They looked like the skinny fucking tires.
Well, yeah, I think part of that was he was impoverished.
Yeah, I kind of like let it go, but it's like what? I did notice that like you want some different tires.
Yeah.
But in any event, one thing that I will say for like the Tom Cruise mummy over this one is that I feel like the Tom Cruise mummy and the whole, you know, why is it in an airplane and why did it crash actually had a bit more reason to it than the one there, because like it was in the plane and they were trying to transport it because supposedly that valley was gonna be underwater for some reason, or was about to be flooded for some reason.
Seems like it must be a government reason because they had that sign on their land that said "Don't flood our valley."
Yeah, so like we didn't really get a whole lot of explanation to that, to like what all's going on with that. But beyond that, like I still felt like I still felt confused why they chose to transport the mummy like in an airplane.
Yeah.
Like why not just drive it out? Why is an airplane the more efficient place to way to do this, and like where were you taking it to, you know?
Yeah.
So there was a lot about it that still left me scratching my head, and maybe part of it is that like there was only so much time in the movie and they didn't have a whole lot of time to expand on like, you know, the curse keepers or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, and maybe to some extent that would have made for a bit more of an efficient movie if they had actually figured out some way to like focus it all on the curse family rather than like this other family who gets their daughter back, you know. But like, you know, a lot of those things are kind of they're both things that have their own merits, and like you know, part of the fun of this movie is like, what the fuck happened to this daughter?
Yeah. That is bringing up for me something I didn't like in the movie was the police chief interview where their daughter is missing. They think that, like, you know, like they're saying you need to look into the family, which is extremely standard.
Yeah. I would
And like instead of being cooperative, you know.
Yeah, when I saw that, I did think. I mean, I can't. I actually can't fault the movie for this because I do think most people would have that sort of, you know, sort of reaction. But it would be nice and refreshing to like have a family who's at least aware and reflective enough to be like, look, I get it. You have to investigate us as well. Let's just get this out of the way, you know, like something like
Yeah, like, and then he's like, hope you're gonna look better than your blah blah blah, you know.
Yeah,
and I wonder, like,
boss.
but if he didn't cooperate at all, like, I don't know what they did, but it didn't sound like he was like. There's the initial reaction makes sense, you know, but how cooperative were they in the like long-term investigation?
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah. We aren't really given much of that.
But that thing he says to the detective later does make me think he wasn't cooperative.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think even like, you know, referencing like you know, the first interview like just makes that seem a little bit all the more plausible that like, you know, he figured out that they were investigating them and then just immediately like shut down.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh yeah, like it's one of those things where you get it, it does make sense, but it's still frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think overall, like, to the extent I have issues with the movie, it's I think a couple a little bit more thought to how certain things would play out would have been good. But I think overall, like, I enjoyed the fuck out of this movie. Yeah. I thought it was great.
I thought it was an awesome movie.
I don't care if like at the end of the day, like I don't feel like I could call it a mummy movie. Like if we're looking at a list of like if we're coming up with a list of like mummy horror movies, like, nah, this can't be on my list. What? But it's called The Mummy, and it's a great horror movie. Yeah, but I can't call it a mummy movie.
Yeah, it would be more likely to be in an Exorcist marathon.
Yeah.
Than like a mummy marathon.
Yeah, any kind of Egyptian horror marathon, really. Like,
but I will say, I like, for me, that's not a complaint. I liked that about the movie, that it subverted my expectations so deeply.
Yeah, I guess I'm not always a fan of like having my expectations, you know, be subverted, especially because like with most movies, if I really like it, I want to watch it again, and I will watch it again. And the subversion, like, it doesn't do anything the second time, because now it just gives you more space to like look at it and think about like, was this a good subversion, or was it just like subversion for the sake of a subversion? Shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
So I'm not usually a big fan of like subversion like that, but it's still a great movie. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I'd recommend it too.
8 out of 10.
I want to say my least favorite moment in the movie.
The revenge?
No. I already talked to you about that.
Well, what do you mean, like, least favorite?
Like the
hardest to watch?
The bad Tom Cruise joke in The Mummy was my least favorite moment of that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the bad movie moment. Like, the moment that would make me be like, this movie's going to be dumb.
Yeah.
And in this one, it was when the dad answers the phone and someone's like, is this Christian blah, 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 you know?
Is this Chris Cannon?
Yeah. And he goes, I'm not buying whatever you're selling, buddy. And then the guy goes, wait, we found your daughter. And it was just like,
I did think it was funny that you took such umbrage with that bit, because I actually did think that was like, yeah, that seems pretty standard with like the amount of spam calls, and especially like, like,
but if you're already answering a call and he's like a news guy, nobody ever calls him and says, is this so-and-so? Like,
yeah, I think that's fair.
I just hated that moment.
I think that's fair, but I think like at the same time, when you do answer your phone a lot, you may get used to a lot of like, you may get used to a lot of like junk calls or spam calls, and like, or calls about like hey, are you interested in a job opportunity or something like that? Like, I still get a lot of those.
I'm close friends with Spam Likely. Like, I get it.
I know. He's a very needy person, but like, I just never have time. So yeah, I know there was like another bit that you really like, you verbalized in the movie that like you were displeased by it.
Do you remember what it was?
Not exactly. I think it was earlier on the interview. What time is it? What time is it in Egypt? I don't know, like a little after 3. Oh, well, it's
he said something like a few minutes after 3 p.m.
Yeah.
I hated that. Yeah. You're right. Well, because in time zone changes, minutes don't matter. Like, if somebody's asking you what time it is in your time zone, they know the minute, where the minute hand is. Right?
Well,
our time zone's only hours.
Yeah, but keep in mind, the question is not like, what's the time difference between your time zone and my time zone?
If it's 3:07.
The question is, what time is it over there? Like, I don't know, a couple minutes past 3.
Have you ever said a couple minutes past the time and then also said PM?
I mean, not in a long while.
That's just not a way normal people talk, I feel like. I am against it. Okay, more things I liked. I liked the scene in the beginning with the family singing in the car and having fun, and the mom being like annoyed and stressed out, you know?
Yeah, typical mom.
Yeah, there was a thing of like, I mean, I don't know how her and that man got together. You know, I don't know what she's like in other times, but she had a lot of intensity on her, I feel like, holding this curse situation.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's funny you bring that up, because like in the future, like when the daughter gets her tongue cut out for like talking out of turn.
Yeah.
Like, I think there were a lot of ways in which that mom was kind of a, was kind of a bitch.
Yeah, I'm not saying like she's not an abusive
like it's one of those things where like you could look at it and go like, I kind of get what makes this person the way they are. Like, you'd probably be more of an asshole too if you were, dedicating your life to like keeping a curse under wraps. But like, yeah, it doesn't change that. Like, cut out her daughter's tongue. Snatching a little girl is still like not great, even if it's for like maybe morally good reasons. Like, maybe there were other ways that could have been handled. I guess I was also curious about like her exact statement was keeping my family safe from the curse. Like, so I guess it just made me curious about like what exactly is the nature of this like evil spirit, and like yeah.
Yeah, well, a thing I'm just thinking of now too is she specifically said something about like it's her duty as the eldest daughter,
Yeah.
And you could tell in the beginning with the daughter in the middle seat, like there was focus on like you're doing something wrong,
Right.
Like I imagine there was a lot of pressure on that little girl,
the only daughter,
but she cut her tongue out, so she could have never performed the ritual.
Oh yeah.
So that part doesn't even make sense. Like, who was gonna do it when she was gone?
Yeah.
They didn't seem like there was any setup for that.
Oh, that actually leads me to something else that kind of bugged me a bit. The tongue cutting out. I felt like she was able to stick out too much for a tongue that was snipped.
I guess I don't know.
Well, like, I stick my tongue out, it comes out here, and like when she stuck her tongue out, it was like, yeah, it was at least as much as what I'm sticking out. It seemed like quite a bit for a tongue that was cut off. So it just seemed like, oh, I guess, is that like some kind of like prosthetic you threw over her tongue to make it look snipped or something?
I bet that is what it was. But I also wonder, she like was able to talk somewhat. And if you have your tongue cut, does it hurt to talk? Like, I don't know, like, because she didn't want to keep talking. She wanted to write,
I don't know exactly, but it probably makes it a lot more difficult to like form words.
Yeah, but I just wonder what is it like to talk? Her tongue is restricted.
Probably a little different.
But does it hurt? That's what I want to know.
This doesn't hurt.
I love you.
I love you. Tongue cut out kiss. All right, well, we're past the hour now. Holler Horror Hour, not Holler Horror Hours.
I mean, our last episode was only 20 minutes, so
Yeah, it averages out, I guess.
They
don't. Just has to be within the hour, not, an hour.
Oh, I see. But yeah, I guess those are our general thoughts on that movie.
Yeah.
I say it's a theater movie.
Yeah. Sure. Definitely.
If you can catch it while it's in theaters.
Definitely catch that movie in theaters. If you just catch it at home, like that, I think it'll still be fucking terrifying.
Oh, aside from the movie, AMC updated their Nicole Kidman thing.
Oh, yeah. They shortened it.
Shortened her?
Quite a lot.
It also has been a thing that's driven me nuts is Nicole Kidman in this like empty movie theater. And they said something in the new intro about like connection at the theater. And I was like, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they do way, not even trailers. I like the trailers, but like they do way too much advertising like for the movie theater within the movie theater. always
It's like, I'm already here, bro.
Yeah, like I've always had a thought of like, oh, make sure you come to AMC for the, and I'm picking on AMC here, but I think every theater like pulls some bullshit like this.
Yeah.
But it's like, make sure you come to AMC for your movie theater experience. Like, oh, well, thanks. Since if you hadn't told me that, I might have gone home.
What about trailers we're excited about?
Obsession.
Obsession.
Oh.
Even if it's bad, I'm always excited for a new Evil Dead movie. There hasn't been a bad Evil Dead movie yet.
Not that I've seen.
They better not let us down.
I don't think they will. I believe in them. Sam Raimi gave like a blueprint too for like, to keep some manner of consistency.
Good. Evil Dead is one of our first bonding, like deep bondings, I feel like. We're Evil Dead lovers. And
Obsession, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch that movie and not laugh.
I mean, I think it's a funny horror.
I don't think it's supposed to be at all, though. They definitely have some. Like they definitely have some quips in there, but like, I don't know that bit in the trailer where it's like, it lasts the rest of your life. Like I just keep thinking like that's such a bit from one of their shorts. Like,
oh yeah, because it had that actor.
No, it's by them.
Oh, it's by them?
Yeah, it said produced by.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
I don't remember their names.
That movie is gonna be so fucking good. I didn't realize it was by them.
Yeah, the guy on the phone was the other one, the blonde one.
That raises my excitement by like 700%. Yeah.
Yes. So that one's a must watch.
And then the Barbarian guy's new movie.
He has a new movie?
Yeah, it was said by the guy who did Barbarian and Weapons.
Oh, I missed it.
The witch one.
Oh, the witch one?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
I can't remember the name of it.
Might be good, or it might be Weapons.
Yeah. When we saw Barbarian, I was literally like stomping around the house like this is the best movie I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, you were doing more than that too. Mama, get away from me.
I was torturing Devin with but when you used to torture me with the Babadook. Anyways.
That is not how I tortured you.
And then, yeah, Weapons was not as good for me, but so I hope this third movie is back to Barbarian level.
Yeah, hopefully this one's more. I mean, Weapons had some good pieces to it. I just think
what was a bad sign is Justin Long was not in the trailer.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, maybe he's in the movie though, somewhere.
Yeah, Adam Scott might be fun. So
yeah, actually, I think Adam Scott is usually pretty good in roles that he's in.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
So join us for more horror and let us know what your thoughts were on the Tom Cruise Mummy.
Or Lee Cronin's The Mummy. You treated yourself to something good instead of, suffered.
I'm Benzie.
And I'm Devin.